Welcome back to my channel, welcome back to another video, and welcome to my first official spring vlog of 2025. I am so excited. Spring is just my favorite season, and I don't know, I just feel the most like myself and the most alive and happy and inspired and creative during this time of year, so I'm really glad that I can hopefully document it and do some fun spring vlogs basically, and just kind of capture all the cozy, bookish, artsy things that I hopefully will get up to this season. I thought I could do a little vlog for the next, I don't know, maybe a week or so, bring you guys along as I try and do some activities to get into the spring spirit. I know the first day of spring, like the spring equinox, is not till I believe the 20th of March, but I will say I feel like spring weather definitely has started to hit where I live. It started to warm up a lot actually last week. It's actually cooled down a little bit this week, which I'm really excited about because it was getting into like the 80s, almost 90s already, and I was not happy with that. Anyway, today is currently Wednesday, March 5th, and I'll probably vlog for the next week or so maybe. Next week on Saturday, actually, we're going out of town. We're going on a little trip to Austin for the week, which I'm pretty excited about. Our plan was to do just like some fun kind of spring activities in Austin. I also definitely want to do some book shopping in Austin. Austin has some of the best bookstores, specifically Book People. It's this huge indie bookstore in downtown. It has 2 different layers, so many different books. I've been there a few times now and I love it so much. I also actually have a gift card for Book People that I got for Christmas that I've been saving to use for this trip specifically. So hopefully we can get around to visiting some bookshops. I also really like the Barnes & Noble that's in Austin, so maybe we'll get around to doing that. I'm definitely trying to not buy too many books for the foreseeable future, but there are some new releases that I'm excited about. Maybe I'll pick up a blind date with a book. When I went to Book People in the fall, I got my first ever blind date with a book and I ended up loving it. It was this kind of gothic, paranormal, historical fiction mystery situation, and I just really enjoyed it. It was a book that I probably wouldn't have picked up if it wasn't for the blind date with a book. I had never heard of it before. I also did another blind date with a book in February for Valentine's Day. My local indie bookstore had this huge blind date with a book display, which I've never seen them do before, so naturally I did have to pick one up, and it ended up being Spinning Silver by Naomi Novik, which I read pretty soon actually after I opened it, and I really loved that one too. So I kind of want to see if maybe we can pick up another blind date with a book at Book People if they have them. Maybe some new releases as well. I guess we'll see. Usually for trips I will only bring my Kindle and kind of download a couple books on there, and then if there's any books that catch my eye while I'm traveling, then I will usually pick those up and start to read them ASAP. Hopefully that will be like the main portion of this video, is my little trip to Austin and some of the cozy spring activities that I get up to there. I also definitely want to put together my spring TBR. I want to make like a little journal spread for it and then just talk about the books that I'm hoping to get to this season. We're also definitely starting to get in like full moving mode, and I pretty much have to spend like probably today actually and tomorrow putting my books away, which is really sad. I don't think I have to put all of them away, but I do have to pack most of them up. So I definitely want to make sure that I have my spring TBR ready to go so I can make sure to leave those books out so I don't pack them away just yet. As for like a little reading update slash crochet update, I feel like that could be a fun way to start my vlogs. Share with you what I'm reading, share with you the crochet project that I'm working on, and then also share with you my latest journal spread. Maybe that would be fun to do. Right now I'm currently reading Sword Heart by T. Kingfisher. I haven't really been able to just like sit down and really binge this just yet, but I have made it to page 139, so like this much into it, and I'm loving this book so far. I feel like I've definitely been reading a little bit more serious, kind of sad books recently, and this is just a fun time. It's very lighthearted, very fun, and very sweet, and I'm really enjoying this so far. It's really funny too. This is a kind of like historical fantasy romance situation, and I really just love T. Kingfisher's sense of humor. I really like the characters. It's a very unlikely pairing, cozy little adventure. I'm really enjoying this so far. I'm really excited to continue reading this, and it is definitely making me feel very spring for whatever reason. So that is my current read. As for my current crochet project, I actually do want to put together a little list of kind of the crochet projects that I want to get to and start this spring season. I definitely want to make some like flower inspired things, but right now what I've been working on kind of in between other projects, just when I want to crochet and I don't necessarily want to like start a new project or work on something that requires more like focus or energy, I've been working on this like just like giant granny square basically. At first I thought I would do like a little pillow cover or something like that, but I think I've decided that I actually want this to be a blanket, just like a giant granny square, and just keep adding rows to it until it's big enough to be a blanket, because I definitely want to crochet a lot more like room decor type things, especially when we move and I have a new room to decorate. I want to have a lot of like handmade stuff in there, and I think that this would be a nice blanket. This will obviously take me a long time to do. It's nowhere near being done, but I think it will be a fun thing to work on every now and then and just kind of keep adding rows to it until I'm satisfied with the size. I also have been working on some crochet flowers for spring, for Mother's Day. I kind of just want to make a bunch of them and give some to my friends and my family. So far I've made a rose which looks like this. I think it's a little bit wonky. It was my first time making something like this, but for the most part I am really happy with how it turned out. I think it's really pretty and cute. And then I also made a little tulip, which I also think is super cute. So these are what I worked on last week actually, and I definitely want to start making some more flowers. And so this is definitely a very spring inspired crochet project. I just want to keep making a ton of these flowers because they're really fun to make. They're actually not that hard, and just great gifts to give, and just really beautiful decorations as well. And then I do also have kind of a little journal update. I have been journaling a lot this week actually, which I'm really excited about. I started setting up some spring related spreads in my life journal because I'm making like a vision board and a bucket list, a goals page. I like the idea of kind of structuring and planning out my life based off of the seasons, and so I kind of wanted to create just like a little spring section in my life journal. I've also been working on making some spreads in my new reading journal, which I shared with you all in my March reset video, and I do share a lot of my finished spreads over on my Instagram, but I did actually want to share with you one spread that I made in particular for the new Emily Wilde book because I just really like how it turned out. Here is the spread that I made for the third one, the most recent release. I just think it turned out really cute. I pretty much just copied the illustrations from the actual like UK cover of it, and I think it turned out really cute. I'm really happy with how this one turned out. I think it's time to kind of wrap up this intro because I've been talking for a little while, but I think it could be fun to do just like a little reading update, crochet update, journal update at the start of each vlog maybe. I think I'm gonna get ready to go on a little walk right now, and then maybe later today I'll set up a journal spread for my spring TBR and kind of talk to you guys about that as well. And then for the rest of the week I probably just have to start packing up all of my books and also start packing for our trip. So I hope you all enjoyed this little spring vlog. Happy spring! I know it's not officially the new season yet, but almost. And yeah, I think that's pretty much everything that I have to say. Friday, March 7th, I think. It's a super like cold and gloomy rainy day today, which I'm actually kind of excited about because it's just been like the coziest day ever. I've kind of just been like reading and relaxing today, getting ready for our trip we leave tomorrow morning. You guys saw that I spent the last couple of days packing away all of my books and doing a little bit of journaling, so I thought that before we get into like the travel portion of this video, I could do a little reading update. I also have a little book haul, one book that came in the mail today that I want to show you, and then also talk about my spring TBR, which you guys saw me make a journal spread for yesterday. Okay, let's start with a little reading update. I told you guys that I was reading Sword Heart by T. Kingfisher, and I am still reading Sword Heart by T. Kingfisher. I was reading a little bit throughout the past couple of days, but today I've actually been like binging it. I've been like, I think I was like less than halfway when I woke up this morning, and I'm now on page 342. I think I have like less than 100 pages left, so I'm almost done with this book. I'm definitely going to be finishing it up today because I want to finish it before we leave tomorrow, and I'm really still loving this. My thoughts are pretty much the same. It's just so much fun. It's made me laugh out loud and smile. It's just very cute and sweet. A nice kind of like lighthearted take on romantasy, which I feel like can sometimes trend towards like very dark and spicy, which is just not quite my preference, so I'm really enjoying this one. I've also been listening to the audiobook for Fire by Kristen Cashore. This is the second book in the Graceling Quartet, I think there's 4 different books in this series. I think I actually in some ways am liking like the storyline better in this one. I just really enjoy these audiobooks. They're very immersive, very easy to read, and just fun, high stakes, kind of plot driven fantasy stories, and I'm just really enjoying this one as well. So these are the 2 books that I have kind of been reading and listening to this week. I definitely have been loving audiobooks recently. And then I also have a pre-order that came in earlier today, which I'm so excited about. This has been one of my most anticipated releases of 2025. The series that I really enjoy. Basically, Barnes & Noble was having a pretty big pre-order sale a couple of weeks ago. I pre-ordered Sword Heart, and then I also got this one, and it just came in earlier, and that book is of course Oathbound by Tracy Deonn. This is the 3rd book in the Legendborn cycle. I don't know if you can see how thick this is. I think it's like 600 pages. To be fair, the other 2 books are also pretty long. I am so excited to get to this. I will probably be saving it for after our trip. Actually, I would definitely be saving it for after our trip because I really want to like focus on this one and take my time with it. Maybe I'll annotate it. I think I like kind of annotated the first 2. I love this series, and I feel like the things that were happening towards the end of Bloodmarked were definitely making me a little bit nervous for this one, but I guess we'll see what happens. I'm so excited to get to this one. It's so beautiful. I love the purple. It has this really beautiful end paper art. Look how just beautiful this book is. Okay, so that is my little reading update. Let's talk a little bit about my spring TBR. I'll kind of go through these books quickly. I put officially 9 books on my spring TBR. I feel like that's just kind of a nice number to focus on but not feel like too overwhelmed. There's definitely more books that I want to get to. There's definitely some new releases that I'm excited about. I know Rachel Gillick has a new book. I know the 3rd Powerless book is coming out, but here are just the books that I put officially on my spring TBR. I made a spread for it, which you guys saw me set up yesterday, and I really love how it turned out. I feel like it's just very spring-like. I really like it. So first off, I actually have 2 new releases that I put on this list. The first one is Green Teeth by Molly O'Neill, and I just realized that I actually glued this one in upside down on this spread. This book came out I think in actually the end of February, and I've heard it compared to T. Kingfisher. I think it's just like a fairy, like fae story, and honestly that's all that I need to know about it. I'm really excited about this one. I think this is one that I potentially might pick up at Book People when we go on our trip. I also put The Geographer's Map to Romance on this list. This is the new India Holton book. I believe the series is called Love's Academic, the first one being The Ornithologist's Field Guide to Love, and this is the second one that's coming out. I'm so excited. I really liked the first one. I thought it was just so much fun, and I feel like a general theme that I'm seeing with a lot of the books that I put on this list are like more lighthearted, whimsical, fun fantasies. I guess those are kind of the books that I'm in the mood for right now. Here are the rest of the books that I have on my spring TBR. I feel like we definitely have a little bit of a color palette going here. First, I have Uprooted by Naomi Novik. I am actually about halfway through this one. I kind of like soft enoughed it because I was in a little bit of a reading slump in February, but I do have the hold for the audiobook coming in, so I think I'm gonna finish it that way, hopefully later on this season, because I was really enjoying this book. I'm really excited to return to it and see what's gonna happen. This is kind of like an Eastern European fairy tale, historical historical story, and it's really good. I was really enjoying it and very immersed, so I'm excited to see what will happen with this one. It was also definitely feeling very spring-esque. There's a big kind of forest element to it, so I was really enjoying this one. I'm excited to continue it. I started reading the Howls series, I think is what it's called, the first one, Howl's Moving Castle, in January, and I only recently found out that it's actually part of a trilogy, so I also decided to put the second book in the series called Castle in the Air on my spring TBR. I'm pretty sure that this book and also the third one don't follow around Howl and Sophie, but I'm still really excited about it. This cover is definitely reminding me a lot of Aladdin, just with the whole like genie in a bottle magic carpet, so I'm intrigued. I have no idea what this is about. I know that it's on Kindle Unlimited, so this could also be a book that I read this next week while I'm away and I only have my Kindle. But I just really enjoyed Howl's Moving Castle. I just thought it was so fun and just very like bingeable. This one is also super short. It might be nice to read, I don't know, maybe between or before like Oathbound, for example. Howl's Moving Castle felt very spring-esque to me, so I'm kind of hoping that this one also kind of puts me in that mood. And then this book could potentially be the oldest book on my physical TBR, but this is The Fairy Bargains of Prospect Hill by Rowena Miller. I have had this book for so long, I think ever since it originally came out. I don't know why I haven't read it, because it sounds like the exact type of story that I typically love. I believe this is a historical fantasy situation with fairies, which is just like my favorite thing ever, so I have no idea why I haven't read this one yet. It also has a review from H.G. Perry, and I did really enjoy The Scholar and the Last Fairy Door, so I'm super excited about this one. I think I even started reading it at one point. I don't know why I haven't gotten to it yet, but I feel like this is the year that I read this. Like, I have to read this. I put this on so many TBRs, especially spring ones, and the cover is just really reminding me of the springtime. This is a beautiful cover, and hopefully I can actually finally get to it this season. Next, we have The Peculiar Garden of Harriet Hunt by Chelsea Everson. I picked this up, I think, in December from Barnes & Noble. I think it came out in December, so this is a pretty recent release. Another one that I haven't really heard anything about, but I picked it up because it sounded so good to me. I don't really know what it's about, but I believe it's like a gothic fantasy historical garden story. It says it's a coming-of-age tale in which the magic that surrounds Harriet Hunt provides both her greatest vulnerability and her greatest strength. I don't really know what that means, but I guess we'll find out. An endearing tale with a heartfelt heroine trapped in a cruel world of men in a sentient garden where magic, vengeance, and second chances bloom. So maybe this is a little bit of a mystery. Maybe this is actually more fitting for winter, but it is still like technically winter, so maybe I'll have to pick this one up soon. I am very excited about this one as well, because it just seems like something that I would really enjoy. I'll obviously let you know my thoughts, and hopefully I have more like eloquent things to say about this book once I've actually read it. And then I did put Tress of the Emerald Sea as well on my spring TBR. I have been told that this is definitely not the best way to start reading Brandon Sanderson. I haven't read any of his books before, but I think I am going to start with this one because it is just the book that I have. I do think it's probably one of those situations where it's beneficial to have the context of his other books. I think they all kind of take place in this same world, but I think I will start with this one, keep an open mind. I do want to read his other books, specifically the Mistborn trilogy, I believe. I think that's his like super popular series, but I do think that it also stands on its own. People have compared it to The Princess Bride, which I love, so I'm excited to kind of get a little bit of a taste into his writing style. I'm okay if I don't necessarily understand everything, but it just looks really cozy. I feel like every time I see cozy fantasy, this is definitely one of the top ones talked about. But I'm excited to get into Brandon Sanderson. I feel like he's just such a well-loved and just prolific author, so I think it will be a fun world to enter into. And then I also put Small Favors by Erin A. Craig on my spring TBR. This is the last of Erin A. Craig's kind of like main backlist books that I have yet to read, and I'm really excited about this one. I did start it at some point. I do also have the audiobook for it at the moment, so maybe I can kind of go back and forth with it. The back says, "Enter not the forest deep, beyond the bells the dark fiends keep." Yeah, I have no idea what that means either. Small Favors is a mesmerizing and chilling novel with dark wishes and dreams and what lurks in the shadows of the people you think you know. So this seems like it may be more on the gothic side of things, which I think makes sense. All of the Erin A. Craig books that I've read thus far definitely have that gothic eerie element to them, which I also really enjoy. I have been recently, for some reason, just really like itching to read it, so this could also be one of my next reads. I think I did also put this on my March TBR, so I will also probably prioritize it a little bit more this month. And then the last book that I put on my like official spring TBR is Alice's Adventures in Wonderland and Through the Looking Glass by Lewis Carroll, a classic. This is such a classic fairy tale. I feel like it's one of those stories that has just really stood against time and is referenced all of the time now in a lot of books that I read and just in general. I am familiar with the story pretty well, actually, even though I've never read the original fairy tale, or I don't think I've even seen any of the movies, but it's just been referenced so much in life these days that I do feel like I know so many different parts of the story. But I really want to read the original text. I did actually start reading it a little bit last year and I was really loving it. So I feel like this is just a classic, a book that has inspired so many of the books that I read. I feel like I've read so many Alice in Wonderland inspired stories, so I'm really excited about it. But I thought I would also put that, maybe read a classic, a children's fairy tale, but still a classic. But I think that's it for my last little update before we go on our trip tomorrow. I'm so excited for this trip, to be honest, to do some book shopping, hopefully go to the botanical garden, do some fun spring things. So I guess I will see you then. Hello everyone, it is now Sunday the 16th of March. We got back from our trip a couple of hours ago and I thought I could finally end off this vlog and give you guys a final little reading update for kind of what I've been doing. It's been I think like over a week since I last talked to you. I hope you enjoyed seeing the little vacation montage. It was honestly a really nice trip. I really enjoyed it. We didn't get up to like a whole lot. I feel like I didn't do a whole lot of different things, so I didn't vlog every day. I don't think I mentioned this before, but we're actually moving to Austin in a couple of months, and so the whole purpose of this trip was to find a house basically, and so that's basically what we spent the majority of the week doing. But I definitely did get to do some book shopping, which you guys saw, and a couple other fun things, so it was a really nice week. I really enjoyed the trip and I'm glad I got to kind of document some of it. I feel like I actually did a lot of reading on this trip, which I was not expecting. I always kind of think that I'm not going to do a lot of reading when I go on trips because I won't have as much time, but I think I actually do more reading than I typically do when I'm away, and I think that's just because when I'm home I have so many different hobbies to choose between and to kind of allocate my time with. I can always occupy myself with something, but when I'm traveling and away from home I obviously don't really have like access to most of my like journaling supplies and stuff, but I feel like reading is just a very portable hobby. You can do it when you're anywhere, and so I find that I actually do a lot of reading when I'm on a trip because it's what I will just spend all of my free time doing basically. I think the last time I gave you guys an update it was like a week ago on Friday, and I was talking about how I was reading Sword Heart, and I did finish up Sword Heart that night, which was really nice, and I gave that one I think probably 4 stars. I really enjoyed it. And then while we were away I did end up finishing 3 new books, which I'm really excited to talk about a little bit. But before we get into that kind of like reading wrap up, I thought I could give you guys a little book haul because I did definitely do some book shopping. I love the bookstores there so much. They're so great. I just love Austin. I'm really excited to live there, to be honest. I feel like there's just so many fun things to do there, so I'm getting really excited. Anyway though, while we were on our trip and doing book shopping, I did end up getting 4 different books, which I was not really planning. I feel like I'm a bit of a hypocrite because I'm always talking about how I don't want to buy books, and then it is what it is. I guess 4 books isn't too many. I am really excited about all these, and I'm also just kind of now realizing that these are also all new releases. Anyway, let me show you the books that I picked up on this trip, starting with Book People. Book People is a big indie bookstore, and I had the best time there. I had a gift card from Christmas and I was so excited to finally use it, and so I ended up picking up 2 books from Book People, one that I had planned on getting and one that just kind of caught my attention. First, I picked up Green Teeth by Molly O'Neill. I think I talked about this in my spring TBR. I was just really excited about this one. This one came out I think at the end of February, and it says it has fae, folklore, and found family. T. Kingfisher has a review on here. It just sounds like something I would really enjoy. I knew I would probably love this, so I definitely wanted to pick this one up. I thought it would also be perfect for spring just because of how like green it is, so that was the first book I got. This one was planned, so I guess that kind of makes it okay. And then a bit randomly, I wasn't planning on picking up this book. I decided to get Our Infinite Fates by Laura Stevens. I think it came out like maybe the first week of March. This is very recent, and so I've kind of seen people talk about it. I saw it a lot at the bookstores. I haven't seen anyone's actual reviews of this just yet, but when I kind of read a little bit of what the premise was about, it's compared to The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue, which I read in February and I loved so much. It's described as The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue meets This Is How You Lose the Time War, and that just intrigued me so much. It just sounded like something I would enjoy. And then V.E. Schwab herself also wrote a little review here, and so I just knew that I had to get this. It just appealed to me. I feel like it ticked off all the boxes. I feel like I'm also just in a very big reading mood, so many things are just sounding really good and appealing to me right now. So these are the 2 books that I got from Book People, both super excited about. And then I think Friday night we took a second random trip to Barnes & Noble because I just really love that Barnes & Noble. So I just decided to get 2 books that I have been really thinking about and really wanting to read. First, we have Watermoon by Samantha Soto Yambao. I feel like I have been just seeing so many people people talking about this recently, and something about it has just been calling to me. I looked for it at Book People and I couldn't find it, otherwise I think I would have gotten it there. But yeah, this book has just been like calling to me recently, and I think I've learned a really good way to kind of keep me out of a reading slump is just to read whatever I want to read. That sounds very simple, but sometimes, I don't know, sometimes I get in my head about it a little bit. This one is described, I think it's like a Studio Ghibli-esque magical realism, kind of dreamy type of book, a spellbinding journey into a magical Ghibli-esque world. That just sounds so good, and I feel like I've also heard really good things about this one. It just sounds like something I would really enjoy. But yeah, I'm just so excited. If you've read this, let me know your thoughts. And then another new release, I also decided to get The Rose Bargain by Sasha Payton Smith. And this is, I think, like a YA romantasy, and I guess I read a lot of YA romantasies, or I have read a lot of them, because when I was looking through all of the authors that had like reviewed this one, Stephanie Garber, Ava Reed, Adeline Grace, Chloe Gong, Isabel Ibanez, Karen Maniscalco, Allison Saft, Rachel Griffin, like all of these I've read books from, and a lot of them I've really enjoyed as well. So this just kind of sounds like, I guess, the type of book that I would really enjoy. I've also heard really good things about it. I believe it has fairies in it. I believe there's some sort of historical aspect to it that's kind of based off of the English War of Roses, I believe. And it just sounds really good. I'm really excited about this one. I don't know, I have a special place in my heart, I think, for YA fantasy. I feel like I haven't read a whole lot in a while, I guess besides like the Graceling series, so I'm very excited to read this one, see what I think. So these are the 4 books that I got on the trip. Definitely did a little bit of damage, but I am super excited about all of these. Actually, before we get into my reading wrap up, I do have another purchase that I want to show you. This has absolutely nothing to do with books, but I still wanted to show you because I did get my very first Jellycat. These are these like very popular, I think quite high quality like plushies, and when I saw this one I just knew that I had to get it. Here it is. Yes, it is a macaron. I'm just obsessed with this. It's so cute. I had to show you because I am obsessed with all things macarons, as you might be able to tell by the name of this channel. So I thought that I had to share that with you. It's so cute. It's like the size of my hand. It's just a little macaron. I'm obsessed with it. I had to show that to you. Okay, now let's get into the reading wrap up, the 3 books that I finished while we were away. So I didn't end up bringing any books with me on this trip. I just brought my Kindle because I had just finished up Sword Heart, and I didn't really know what I wanted to read next, so I was kind of just browsing the Kindle store, and I ended up coming across Spark of the Everflame by Pango, which I feel like is a very popular romantasy series. I believe it also just got traditionally published, and so I randomly decided to start reading it, and I ended up binging it. I think I read it in like 3 days or something. It is a high fantasy, romantasy type series, and it's a little bit intimidating just because I know that people are obsessed with the series, and I think also maybe there's 4 books out and the later books are quite long, but I just randomly decided to pick it up. I was kind of hoping that it would be just like very easy to read and a little bit, I don't know, refreshing, and it really was. I really enjoyed this one. I feel like romantasies can be very hit or miss for me, and I do kind of have to be in a certain mood, but I think I did read this one at the right time because I did end up really enjoying it. I think at first I was feeling very like critical of the book, but I kind of had to think about this book in the context of the genre and kind of hold it up against other romantasy books, and I feel like once I did that and kind of let go of my like critiquing part, I was able to just really get invested in it and really enjoy it. I do think that it was very predictable, and our main character DM, I did really love following her and her perspective. She was a little bit slow, I will say. Like I feel like there were so many like secrets and kind of mysteries going on, and every character in the story knew all this information and knew more than DM did, and I feel like as the readers we were also given fully enough pieces to kind of figure things out. I think if you've just read romantasy stories before, it will just feel like very familiar and predictable to you, and so it kind of just felt like everybody in the story knew what was going on. Us as the reader could kind of assume what was going on, and then our main character was just taking a bit extra longer to get it. So that was kind of my main thing. It was a little bit predictable. I feel like there were some points that were written a little bit kind of info dumpy, or just things that were a little bit like cliche, but I think in terms of just a romantasy book, it did everything pretty well. The pacing, the plot, the mystery, the writing, overall I think it was very well done, very entertaining and easy to read. I enjoyed the plot a lot. I liked the magic system, I liked the characters, and I'm very excited to continue the series and kind of see what I think about it. After that, I decided to pick up Our Infinite Fates, one of the books that I bought. I did actually read this one. I really enjoyed this one as well. I feel like I have such mixed thoughts on this. If you've read this, please let me know what you think, because I think I just have to like process it a little bit. How would you even describe this book? I guess it's more kind of like a historical fiction, whatever genre The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue is, I would say this is very similar and definitely reminded me a lot of that story. Though it is YA and it does kind of fall around different things, and I would say it is definitely a lot more like romance heavy than Addie LaRue is. We're essentially following around these two immortal characters. They are these two souls and they reincarnate in different bodies every single lifetime, and so they have lived for like over 1,000 years, I think, and we're kind of just following around their story in these different lives that they're living over the course of 1,000 years. The twist is that they never live past the age of 18. They always end up killing each other, and so there's kind of this mystery aspect as well. As you're reading, these characters keep dying before they turn 18, and you're trying to figure out like why, what's the source of it, what's the reason, while also just kind of seeing all the different like time periods they've lived in, all the different bodies they've lived in. It's a really fascinating concept. I think I've just realized that I really enjoy reading books with kind of the concept of immortality in it. I just really enjoy those types of stories. This one I feel very conflicted about. I really enjoyed this author's writing. There were a lot of pages that I was like underlining, and I didn't have any like annotating supplies with me, so I was kind of just like dog-earing some pages and underlining some things. There were some beautiful quotes in here, and there were some moments where I just felt like so emotional with the characters, but I think the ending did kind of let me down. The big kind of like reveal and explanation for why certain things were happening I didn't love, and I think this is just a really hard concept to pull off, and this is a pretty short book. It's like barely 300 pages, so I feel like that mixed with the fact that it was YA, it felt just a little bit surface level. Not to say that YA books are surface level at all, but this one definitely felt like it could go a lot deeper and that I would have liked to see more from it. I think immortality and all the other concepts and themes in this book are just so big and so difficult and complex, and a 300-page book that just barely catches the surface of all of those things is just never gonna feel complete to me. I feel like we were told a lot of things and not really shown a lot of things, but at the same time I also really did love it and really enjoy it. I was so immersed in it. I really couldn't put it down, as V. Schwab said. So I don't know, I'm very conflicted on this. I have been thinking about it since I finished it. It was very interesting. I've never read anything like this except for probably Addie LaRue. I still have mixed feelings on it, but it was a fun time. It was very easy to read and very kind of quick and so addicting too. And then the final book that I finished on our trip, I don't think it's technically a novella, but it's really short. I think it was probably only like 150 pages. I decided to read it on my Kindle. I kept seeing this book at the bookstore and I really wanted to pick it up, and then I saw that my library had the ebook available, so I just decided to download that. And that book is Days at the Murasaki Bookshop. And I don't know why this was just like very intriguing to me. I just really wanted to read it. So I read that one very quickly because it is very short and the writing you just kind of fly through. And I did really enjoy that one as well. It's this kind of cozy story about a character who ends up going through something a bit difficult and is at a pretty low point in her life. She ends up finding a lot of peace and solace and fulfillment when she goes to stay with her uncle, who owns this cozy bookshop in Tokyo. And so it was very wholesome, very sweet. I feel like it's definitely a book for book lovers, and it kind of has some cute little lines about why books are so special and so meaningful and so impactful. And so it was cute. It was, I mean, pretty like simple, and there were parts of the story that felt almost like too easy to read in a way, but it was really cute, and I probably will read the sequel at some point. I finished that one last night, and so on the plane home earlier today I did decide to start Green Teeth by Molly O'Neill because I just was very intrigued by it, and I got to page 48, so I feel like I can't really like say too much about this book because I have only just started it, but I'm really enjoying this one so far. It caught my attention immediately. I'm really excited to read this. I love the writing. It definitely has that kind of T. Kingfisher-esque humor to it. It's very cute, so I did want to mention that I did start this one as well, and I'm excited to continue reading this one. So that is my reading update for the past week or so, and I think it's also time to end off the vlog here. I know it's been kind of a long one, but I hope you enjoyed it. I do love watching longer vlogs. I'm definitely feeling very much in the spring mood now, kind of taking you along with me for the past week or so, and I'm so excited to make more videos for the season. Let me know if there's anything specific you want to see. I definitely have some like bookish videos planned and some reading vlogs and that sort of thing, but I think that's everything that I have to say. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you in my next video very soon.